Happy Monday morning, everyone. We're so glad you're joining us. This is Stacy Turner with our DMOpro Zoom. Hope you've had an excellent weekend. We're excited to be back with you. I just wanted to tell you thank you for the feedback you guys gave me on the event that we did with the nutrition for students and young adults. That was a lot of fun to have my girls on there and my husband, sort of all of us as a family doing an event together. But I just thought it was cool. It kind of full circle came back around. And so I hope that tool is used a lot because I think it's sort of a missing piece that we really haven't had a resource like that. So I really liked that. And Patty and I and some of the other ladies, we've been talking about sourdough events. So a way to just kind of increase your connections and the circle of people you're talking to. I posted it on Facebook and had a ton of response. And so actually have a waiting list of people wanting to come to an event. I don't know about you guys, but that's never happened before, right? Like it's like we're almost like it feels sometimes like we're begging people to come to the events and trying to just find just two people that can come. So to be able to have a waiting list, I'm pretty excited about that. So I know that they are definitely more work. So we'll see. It's just an exposure to our community, an exposure to what we do, and just the educational process that we have. I kind of am thinking of it as like a community service almost, and then just a way to build relationships, because there's ladies that are coming that have never been, shown interest necessarily in a health event that I'm doing. And I will be talking gut health and incorporating Juice Plus, and we'll be making smoothies as well if all goes as planned. So if you haven't dug into that world, there's a whole boards about the sourdough. Michaela Peterson, if you're watching this, we love you for all of the work that you put into that. And the resources, like she just has it down really well. And even some project broadcast campaigns that are out there that you can join in and then replicate for yourself if you're using project broadcast. So there's a little plug on sourdough and why we were talking about heating up our mothers, but keeping them warm. All right. So I wanted to chat with you guys today. I have been reading a book, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. I've been listening to it. Patty's clapping. She's read it. I don't know if anybody else has listened to that. We've got some thumbs up here. Now, I don't know, girls, like what happened. That has been in my queue on I bought it a long time ago in Audible, but I just never listened to it. So somebody told me, probably one of you guys told me at some point, hey, you got to listen to that one. It's been in there, like when I was scrolling down of, okay, what's next? It was way down there. So I don't even remember hearing much about it, but it has just really got me thinking. And I love something that you can listen to 1 or 2 chapters and then it just starts spinning through your head and you're immediately able to apply it and you can see it impacting the information just as a simple concept. Was really good. So I wanted to kind of cover that book if none of you guys, or for some of you that have not read it. Janie Hawkins is asking me, it's Mel Robbins' 5-Second Rule book. That's what the book is. And I like listening to it. I love when the author reads the book. Don't you guys, when you're listening on Audible, because their inflection is just different. Like it's their words, they wrote it. And so I just think it's fun to listen when they're the ones reading it. And she reads it really well. It's like you're just sitting down having coffee with her and she's talking to you. She does a great job of it. So I found this article today because I was just trying to take some quotes out of it. And I thought, it did the best job of taking the most important quotes and putting it in one place. So I'll send the link to you guys to this. It's from the CEOmagazine.com. This article is. And so I'm just going to read this part to you guys. And it looks like I'm on a different one. Hold on. Is this it? No. Give me just a second. You know, have you ever go to one article and then something happens and you move on to the next article when you finish reading it? I think that's what it has done to me here. Okay, here we go. No, it's at the bottom. Okay, so she wrote this book in 2016. And she did a TED Talk in 2013. So we're talking some good time here that it's been in the system where people have been able to use it, sort of tried and proven, right? So this really came from a place where she was in like the deepest and darkest place of her life, financially, relationship wise, with her husband, parenting, business for sure. Outside, you would think, okay, they're doing great. Her husband had his own business. She had some speaking engagements and different things like that. But it just, under the surface, everything was falling apart. And she was just staying in bed. She was probably depressed and just not showing up. Like, she knew there were things that she needed to do, but she just didn't have the motivation to do that. We're going to come back to that word motivation here at the end. Okay. So this 5-second rule actually came from her own experience and what she did to get out of that. And it was sort of a hack that really stuck well with her. And then she did a TED Talk in 2013, and it was before TED Talks were even really a thing, and it just went viral and it became a really big deal. And the TED Talk is entitled "How to Stop Screwing Yourself Over." And I thought, like, she says, if I had known that it was going to be so popular, I probably wouldn't have named it that. She just had no idea. But here's what it is. The 5-second rule is simple. If you have an instinct to act on a goal, you must physically move within 5 seconds or your brain will kill it. The moment you feel an instinct or a desire to act on a goal or a commitment, use the rule. It was while struggling to wake up earlier that Robbins realized that it took around 5 seconds to stop herself from adopting the positive habit. Later one evening, she noticed that rockets launch into space after a 5-second countdown, and then it dawned on her that she too could give herself the push she needed to take control of her life like the rocket. And really, she just was like, when I get up in the morning, when I hear that alarm go off, I'm going to say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to launch myself out of bed. That's all she was saying. So she wasn't thinking that this would be life-changing. She just knew that was an issue that was causing her to run late, that caused chaos in the mornings, that caused missed lunches and backpacks and, more time wasted going back home and all this. So she knew that that was a point, like, she needed to get up. And so that's where she applied this 5-second rule. The moment you feel yourself hesitate before doing something that you know you should do, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and move towards action. If you don't move in 5 seconds, your mental habits take over and they kill your instinct to change, innovate, or step outside of your comfort zone. From waking up earlier in the morning to initiating a conversation with a potential business contact, the 5-second rule helps people move out of thinking and into doing. With such a small window in which to act, fear and self-doubt don't stand a chance of creeping in and sabotaging us from taking action. It's additionally a mental tool that leads to good habits that supports your goals in business and in life. Counting backwards requires focus, and when you focus, your prefrontal cortex awakens. And by the way, that's the part of the brain that helps you learn new positive behavior patterns, Robbins says. From the moment that you have the idea, you've only got 5 seconds to take action. Otherwise, it's gone. Write it down, schedule it, send an email to yourself, or make the request, she suggests. The moment you feel yourself wanting to move into distraction, you're going to use the rule again. So you can use it over and over again, however many times you want. With only so many hours in a day, the rule encourages leaders to prioritize the most important task and exercise greater control over their thoughts and their activity. Production is not about blasting through your to-do list and doing more. It's actually about doing less. Productivity is the ability to make progress on the things that matter to you. She also argues that the internal resistance to change is often the only factor that holds us back from doing the things we dislike. You see, you're capable of being more productive. You're just waiting to feel like doing what you need to do. And guess what? You're never going to crack the whip on yourself when you have a million other things that you need to do and you've got people that are making demands on you. So when to use the 5-second rule: to wake up in the morning, before responding to an email, when hesitating to reach out to a new client, before undertaking some form of exercise, when you think of an innovative idea, before attending a social event, before negotiating with someone when you're about to indulge in a bad habit. So the benefits of using this 5-second rule is it prevents overthinking and self-doubt, gives you a greater sense of emotional control, encourages you to trust your instincts, increases your confidence and courage, changes the way you perceive failure, prevents you from holding yourself back from opportunities, and you feel more empowered for taking action that aligns with your goals. So think about those last ones, those benefits that I read, and just apply those to our business, okay? So I'll read that list again. If you had a tool that could help you prevent overthinking and self-doubt, anybody else get in that space where that your little head starts thinking and you're just like, stop, I don't want to think that. It's not true. They're not against me. Nobody's trying to sabotage me, right? Prevents overthinking and self-doubt. Gives you a greater sense of emotional control, because when our emotions are in control, our head's not necessarily thinking, right? Increases your confidence and your courage. A tool that helps you change the way you perceive failure, seeing it as growth opportunity. Prevents you from holding yourself back from opportunities that come up that if you block them, you can't even see them, but they're there, that somebody else would be like, why didn't you talk to her? You should have said something. That was a perfect opportunity. She led you right to it, but you just can't even see it. And you feel more empowered for taking action that aligns with your goals. So there's 2 things in here that I wanted to go back to. So she talks about you're capable of being more productive, but you're just waiting to feel like doing what you need to do. And I wanted to touch on the word motivation. And from reading this book or listening to it with her, motivation, we think, and we use this word like, well, I just don't feel motivated to do whatever, or I need to motivate my team. I just need to learn. If I could just motivate my team to do the action and the activity, then I would have the business that I want to have. Or a lot of times that word motivation goes with the word feeling. I don't feel motivated. So what if we took the motivation word motivation and changed it to not have a feeling attached to it? What if motivation is really your reason for doing it? Okay, so think about that. Like, we would probably call it our why, and our why changes. We've talked about that season to season of life. In a year, it can change. At one point, my motivation was to pay for private school for my kids. They're not in school anymore. That would be silly for me to keep saying my why is to pay for my kids, private school. They're not there. That doesn't apply at this point. So your why has to shift, but that why, the reason behind why you want to do the activity, that's actually what the motivation is. It's not a feeling. You can feel inspired, right? And you could say something to somebody else that inspires them and they feel inspired. But motivation is internally more tied to your reason of why you're wanting to do something. That's what motivates you to take action. That's what the stirring is in your mind of like, okay, I need to do that. And I'm willing to do that because I want XYZ. Like it's going to be, your motivation is going to be tied to your goals, and it's going to be tied to your why. And those are closely connected too. But if you're waiting to feel motivated, your brain's going to talk you out of that. Like, it wants to keep you safe. And I don't know, like, how is that a helpful thing? I think that we should have like what happened to where we want to stay safe, stay small? I think just kind of a programming over time, maybe, but like, that's where the growth is. It's in the heart. It's in the, group of people that you have an opportunity to go to a training. And when you walk in and you see all the people, I don't know about you guys, but I still get overwhelmed. Who am I going to sit with? Especially if I'm not with somebody. I could ask any of you guys, hey, can I sit at your table? And you would say yes. And the same thing for you guys. You could ask the same, but it's like still a little kid walking into the cafeteria and like, is there a seat open? Or on the bus, and someone's going to say, seat taken, you can't sit here. And it's like, it's not true. We're adults, and like, there's always going to be an open seat somewhere, but I still feel that way. Do I know someone? Who do I know here? Who could I start a conversation with to calm my nerves, or, whatever. Or if Jarrett's with me, it's like, okay, at least I have my buddy, but that's, it's okay to feel that, like, that's a normal experience. So can we lean into that? Why am I going to go into this training? Or I remember when we first moved here, there was a ladies' night at the church and they were painting pumpkins. And I mean, we didn't know anybody. I just knew that it would be a chance to start meeting people and start making connections. I had to totally talk myself into it in the hallway of just walking in the door, just go in that gym where all of these ladies were. And it was like this whole pep talk that had to happen. And you wouldn't have known that, but on the inside, I was like, you got this. We're going to make some friends. We're going to have some coffee. We're going to paint a pumpkin. We're going to talk to people. We're going to get people's phone numbers. I'm like telling myself all this stuff. And it was like, finally, I was just like, go, just get in there. And so I walked in, and it's just uncomfortable, but I knew the payoff would be, it would be well worth my time. And so I was intentional about starting conversations. I was intentional about getting a couple of girls' phone number. I was intentional about being part of the conversation and saying funny things to where they weren't like, who is this? She's not even speaking. How are we going to get to know her? Like, I had to put myself out there, right? There's a lot of situations like that where I didn't feel like this huge motivation, but the why is I wanted friends. I needed people in this community. I needed people in my life. So I was motivated to do that harder thing. If it's starting a conversation with someone, and you guys know that, where you're like, you need to talk to them about Juice Plus, and you're like, I don't know them. Like, that would just be weird. I'm not going to talk to them. And it's like both sides of you, it's like, to him. So finally, there's times where I'm like, okay, it's almost like I pushed myself forward. Okay, I'll go talk to him, or just start a conversation, or, whatever it is, that motivation has to be deeper. Why? Obviously, because we want to help people. When you have something and you've heard somebody's whole story of like their terrible health issue, like, how do you not share something with them, right? Like, that's going to motivate you to do that. But it's not always a feeling. I don't always feel excited about it, or feel like this is going to be great. There's going to be that self-doubt. So this tool is a 5-second launching into the activity that you need to do, and just not overthinking it. So I just want you guys to encourage you, buy the book or download the book. I think it would be excellent for us to read the book, and maybe each time we're coming on in the next couple of weeks, just sharing what are some tidbits you guys got out of the book? What's something you're applying to the book? And one of them for me was, she talks about not keeping the phone in your bedroom, and so that when you wake up in the morning, you're not looking at your phone right away. I did that at one point. It was somewhere else, and it just migrated back into my room. The plug just plugged itself right back into my bed, right by the bed. No, and so I was like, oh yeah, I was doing that. So I put it in the bathroom. And then she talks about rhythms of sleep at night, and how pushing the snooze button interrupts that. It's just really fascinating. There was so much good. Jarrett and I were listening to it, and we were talking, and it just keeps, rolling back into my head, and I keep thinking about it. And like I said, I love a book that does that really gets you thinking. And then how can we apply that? For us, I think with our biggest one is in our DMO of our, daily method of operation, what we do. We know we should take some time, 30 minutes, and plan out the week. So when that comes through our head and we're like, yeah, I'll just kind of write it down. No, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out your DMO planner, just start writing down some names. I know I have an event to invite to. So, okay, I'll do the dishes first, and then I'll come back and do that. I'll whatever. And I don't really have time to invite all the 50 people that I'm going to invite. And so I'll find some more time tomorrow. Guys, that has been the story in my head, and I'm running out of time. There's 2 weeks left until this big event. I've got to go back and touch bases and really, and I know I want to do that. I keep thinking that raising is going to be on the night of Leanne's event, and I have 2 people there, I'm be kicking myself that there's not more people there, because it's fantastic information. Like, kick myself into activity now so that we have a good group that's there. I want them to be the, to get that education. So, what can we do to, use this 5 seconds to make a phone call to a prospect we've been talking to, or send another message? What if we wait longer than 5 seconds? It's going to sound something like, well, you already asked her what she thought of the video. She probably hasn't even watched it anyway. I mean, what's the point? You don't want to be a pest, because nobody wants to think we're pushy or we're trying to sell something to them. No, let's just wait. Let's give her a couple more days, 2 more days. I mean, it's been the weekend. She probably didn't over the weekend. So how about, oh, it's Monday morning. No, we'll do Wednesday. No, Wednesday people go to church. Okay, Thursday. Thursday, I will contact her and see what she thought of the video. But I'm probably not going to call her. I'll just text her. I'll just send her a message like through the wavelengths, and maybe she'll listen to that video and she'll contact me, because, if people are interested, they will contact me, because, I'm not going to be a pushy person. And just because this makes sense to me doesn't mean it makes sense to everyone else. Like, what if I had just said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and send that message and ask her, how's your day going? I'm curious what you thought of the video, if you had a chance to watch it over the weekend. Just don't give yourself so much time to overthink. And I don't know, maybe that's just me, but that's the messaging that often goes through my head. So I'm excited to have this tool. You guys tell me who's listened to it. It's probably might have been a while since you listened to it, but did it spark something in you? Have you been applying any of that information? What do you guys think of the book? Those of you that have already read it.
Stacy, I read the book. Oh, go ahead, Patty.
No, you go ahead.
I read the book a long time ago, and the things that stuck in my head is exactly what you said. Leave your phone, your iPad, everything in the front room. I do. I've done it since that day 5 years ago. Getting good sleep, I've always been able to do that pretty well. One of the things, even in your personal life, she does the countdown backwards when you're going to say something kind of nasty to your spouse, and you count backwards before you say it. And that really, really helped. And Jean read the book as well, and then we both kind of worked on that. It was a relationship kind of thing. But then from that, I was up in Washington, and my husband was golfing every day. So I took the opportunity to do that 30-day training that I mentioned on there. And it was really sweet, because it was just 3 to 5 minutes of her training in the morning. Those clips are in there. The book was in there. But I love this 5-second rule book, and I need to go back and read it again.
That's awesome. So tell us, Barb, a little bit more about that program. You linked it in here, but what does that look like? Because I didn't know about a 30-day program.
Well, because I was following her, she did it, and it was before her TV show that she did. And I watched several episodes of that as well, and then it got cut. But it was just, she'd get on Zoom, and for 30 seconds or for 3 to 5 minutes, she'd do a quick train on that book and different things in that. And then, it just kind of sunk in your head, because it was short and sweet. Mm-hmm. And I like those things that don't go on. Some of her training now is like 2 and 3 hours, which I can't do. I can, but I don't. I choose not to do that long with training. I like 5 to 10 minutes, half an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, that's something we can look back. I'm sure there's tons of resources. Just when I typed in this morning, there was a ton of them.
Yeah, if you go into YouTube, there's just, she's got tons and tons of training. One thing I'll pre-warn you is her language. It can be atrocious at times, but you have to get through that, because that's just who she is.
Yeah, I would agree, Barb. Maybe if you have little kids, don't listen to it out loud in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were a couple times I was like, oh, but I just kind of looked at to get the meat of what she was saying. So thank you, Barb, for sharing that. Patty, what did you want to share with us?
Yeah, I was like Barb. It was quite a few years ago that I read it, and it was a game changer for me. And I think of it as, we think about the big rocks, little rocks. What do we want to focus on? And if we can kind of know, do the DMO the day or the week before, and know the big rocks, and make sure you do that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with the big rocks, and everything else falls into place. I think that is so important. And I did put it in the chat, but I follow her on Instagram, and she's got some really good short little trainings too on Instagram. So that's kind of a good source.
Excellent. Thank you, Patty. Tap, what you got for us?
I also read it quite a long time ago, and I've applied the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 across my life for years. But I'm challenged in one area of our business that I have not been successful using it, and I would love other people's feedback. Those opportunities that you let go, I let go because the person has just told me that they're very ill, or that their spouse or child is very ill. How do you share the power of what we have then without crossing the line into any disease cure implication, knowing that even if you don't actually say disease cure, if you're anywhere in that realm, they're going to potentially hear it as that. How I do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I just swallow hard. I don't know what to say.
So that's a good question, Tap. And some that can be the thinking, the overthinking side of things, right? Or the
Yep.
fear of what if they feel like I'm taking advantage of their situation and they're, that I'm just trying to sell them something. So one question that I have found is, just digging deeper. So they sell that. So then like, how is this affecting your life? What is this like your quality of life right now? And, just leaning into that struggle with them. And then I'll say, I'm just curious, what are you doing to support yourself nutritionally right now? So, through this illness, through the diagnosis, through the stress of their spouse's diagnosis, through even like something like a really nasty divorce. Like a friend of mine, she was saying, I'd found out her husband had cheated on her, like it was so bad, and they just got divorced. Like I had no idea. And so in talking to her, just, and it was just through Messenger, I should have probably said, hey, let's talk on the phone. But I did ask her, what are you doing to support yourself right now? Like, are you getting counseling? What type of counseling have you leaned into? And then we talked about that. And I said, what are you doing to support yourself nutritionally right now? Stress plays a huge factor in health issues. What are you doing right now? That's my heart and that's my passion. So, it's just a concern of mine. I've seen really bad things happen after something so stressful. And so it led into just the conversation of what she was doing. And she knows I do Juice Plus, and she had some answers of what she was taking. And so I had a resource of talking about stress and nutrition. And I just asked her, can I send that to you? And she was like, okay, you can send that. But that question I feel makes sense in a lot of situations, to where you're still leaning in and you're not just instantly offering, hey, have you thought about taking Juice Plus, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, it's not going to be received well if you just say, Juice Plus could help that, I've got something for you. Sometimes maybe you can say something like that, but I've just found that sentence seems to work well. So how are you supporting yourself nutritionally right now or through this?
Stacy,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I had a family situation. My brother's grandson developed an inoperable brain tumor, and he's only 6, and it's been really hard. And I didn't want to come across, especially, family situations can be sticky. So finally, my sister said, Margie, just put a note and send it. And I did, and he's taken it. And my brother is backing me, which, he's not a customer. He's not, but he loves his grandson deeply, and he's willing to, push his son to do anything that will help him. So
Right.
sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet and do it. Because what's the worst case? They decide not to use it. Well, you can't control that. You can only do what you can do to support.
And Margie, that's such a great response too, in putting it in writing, because I don't know if you guys have ever had some sort of crisis like that, but as soon as you do, everyone comes in with a device. Oh, you should do this. Oh, have you tried that? Well, what about this? And hey, you should do that. And it gets super overwhelming. Plus, they're researching, I mean, a brain tumor in a 6-year-old, like they're trying to figure out, where did this come from? Like, what treatment do we go through? And they're being told all these medical things. Like, can you imagine how overwhelming that is? You know?
No, I can't. Even though I'm
No.
in the family, I can't imagine losing one of my children or having them that seriously ill.
No.
I just told him it's just fruits and vegetables, and it will help him as he goes through radiation.
Right. Yeah. And then that's something tangible they can see. They can kind of table it if they're not ready to hear the information, but it's something that will come back versus just a verbal in their head that kind of passes through and they move on. So I really like that idea of being able to write it down, especially when it's in sort of that trickier relationship. I think that's great advice,
Well,
Mark.
and I ordered the capsules so they were already using a shake for him, a nutritional shake, so that they could just pour the capsules in the shake.
Mhm. Yeah. So finding a simple process, like
Yeah.
an easy way for them to incorporate this into something they're already doing, that's brilliant too. Take away as many of the objections as you can. That's great. Anyone else want to share?
I have a thought to share. This helps motivate me when I'm questioning whether or not I should share about Juice Plus. It was a statement made by Wendy Campbell many, many years ago that you don't want someone coming back to you knowing that you knew about Juice Plus and you didn't share with them when there was a need. I mean, how devastating would that be, to have that happen?
Yeah, it's so true. The Peg, you knew about this? You knew, and you've been taking this for years. Like, why didn't you tell us? Yeah, that's not a good feeling, right? No, we don't want that. So yeah, just that 5 seconds of, okay, I'm just going to talk to him, or I'm going to write the letter, or I'm going to send the text, or whatever that is. But having the heart in your right place, I think, means everything. Rachel says, oh, go ahead, Marcia.
I try to be proactive in this in my mindset, and I use affirmations every day to do that. And one of the things that I say is, and I got this from my sweet friend Laura Allen, I love people more than I love my comfort, and I am seeking to get uncomfortable today. I say that to myself every day, and that's just being, that's just telling myself the truth. So that helps me to be proactive.
Yeah, and not sit on that. Thank you, Marcia. I love that. Anyone else? Lisa, you got something for us?
Yes, I actually haven't really used it for my business, but I have made a decision today I read it a while ago in that too, and I've used it on many personal things and for voice students of mine that have had fear and anxiety, and had the discussion with them. We talked about the 5-second rule, and people that have anxiety, it's not something I suffer from, so I can't relate. But I mean, in other ways, yes. But I asked her, what happens when you're in that place? Oh, I can't breathe, and I'm just, and she's a beautiful singer, but it just overtakes her, and she's talking about all of these things. But if we do that mind switch of, that's the exact same thing that happens when you're excited. So this was a little 6th grader, and there were 4 of them actually that were going to do this competition, and she was just way beyond. And I said, and then I told them all, I said, well, I want to tell you this. I got permission from your parents to be able to take you to Disneyland this Christmas with us, because I'm going down, and then, oh my gosh, I'm in it, and I said, what does your body feel like? And it's like, oh, my heart's racing. And I said, yes. I said, it's the same thing, but you're putting a negative twist on it. So if you tell yourself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, wow, must be really excited to be here to sing today because my heart is racing and my blood is pumping and everything, instead of the fear factor, it's actually a positive thing. And I've used it from everything to going for a soda. I don't drink soda anymore, but I was using it, or water in the refrigerator. You're going, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. You're already committed to, so I've used it actually in many different things. It has become like the angel and the devil on the shoulder, and or playing with my conscience, God, where I'm having this conversation back and forth with him, and it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just listen. It's the right thing. Just do it.
Yeah.
So my very first thing was, I was standing. I had to go sing for a funeral, and I had 25 minutes to get there. And someone was coming out of a door. This was right after I read Mel Robbins, and they were coming out of a door, and I thought I should go help them carry that stuff. And it's like, I really need to get to this funeral. I have to play beforehand. I have all of these books, and I'm setting it down. And I kept thinking, I really should go open that door. And I put the books in the car. I really should go open that door. And they put some stuff in, and they're going to, I'm going back and forth. And finally, it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What I found, it's a huge time saver. That's the thing you guys are going to find from this. It saves you so much time. It took me literally 10 seconds to walk 30 feet to go over and open the door. And I felt so much better afterwards just by doing it. And I wasted literally 2 minutes, probably, conflicting with myself about doing something kind for someone else. How stupid is that? It's just silly, but it will save you so much time and so much headache. Your husband asks, where do you want to go out to eat? And he gives you 3 choices. Just pick one, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just pick one. Don't think through a process. You waste so much time making a decision, and you're going to find something at all of them and be happy anyway. It's just who you're with.
Right.
So.
And in the space of inactivity is where doubt really starts to creep in, right? That's where the naysayer starts speaking up louder and louder. And like, you can just come up with more and more and more. And like you're saying, you're just wasting time. If you're going to do a power hour with the DMO, and like, then just commit, I'm going to do it, and sit down and do that work. And I don't know if you guys know that in the app that we have in the free section, there's a DMO hour that's written out for you, and it has a timer built into those different sections to where you can do 15 minutes, and it has ideas for what you can post. I'm needing to hop out of here because Wendy Campbell's doing an NMD Zoom right now for her NMDs, and they're talking about this, just really capitalizing on this power hour, and they've got some good resources. So I'm excited to learn that for you guys too. But thank you for everyone that shared. Thank you. That was an excellent discussion today. I think we've got so much good. And if you guys want to add something else in and you didn't have a chance to talk today, add into our Voxer chat. We would love to hear from you guys. I'll put this recording in there as well. But just thank you for your time. Thank you for everyone being here. And I appreciate you. I hope you have a great and productive week. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.